justice for Gabby Petito. For the first time, we are getting a look at Brian Laundrie's notebook, and we want to bring in our Melissa Ratliff. She's our digital manager. Melissa has been working on this story all afternoon. Melissa, some revealing information in that notebook.
Yes, well, this is the notebook that we already knew about, found next to Brian's remains, and today we are getting a look at the handwritten confession, 8 pages of it. That notebook was stuffed into a plastic bag. Around 8 months later, they reveal what might have happened, and we have to tell you these details are chilling, and you may find them very disturbing. So some of the entries are as follows. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful. That is what she wanted, but I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock, but from the moment I decided, took away her pain, I know I couldn't go on without her. And then this occurred as an unexpected tragedy, rushing back to our car, trying to cross the streams of the creek before it got too dark to see, too cold. And there are several spelling errors within this note that is part of the note. I hear a splash, a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment. Shouted her name. I found her breathing heavily, gasping my name. She was freezing cold. While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Laying next to her, she said little, lapsing between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. I have killed myself by this creek in hopes that animals may tear me apart, that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all of my things. Gabby hated people who litter. And wow, it's just having followed this case for so long, and it still feels as though there's not going to be any closure for anybody involved in this. It's a tragedy.
Yeah, what a bombshell today. What's next with this?
Well, I mean, on social media right now, I think a lot of people are just absorbing it. Of course, we knew this confession existed. A lot of the results have just, and reactions have been disbelief, anger, and people have been, I've been following this case since Gabby was reported missing, and I am still processing what I just read. And as for this revelation, it's hard to say what any of this will mean. There's a term for this type of entry. It's called a dying declaration. And what it means is that these are, as their attorney Bertolino said, Brian's last words. But as for determining those words' validity, that's up to the reader. There's no criminal case at this time, and Brian Laundrie, he's deceased. He's not on trial, so we are just left with a lot more questions than answers, which is, I know, has to be disappointing and heartbreaking for Gabby's family. There are just still so many questions, and that's the exact result that's been going on social media. People are heartbroken, people are angry, and this still feels unresolved.
Yeah, very sad to hear, and devastating news, I'm sure, for the family. Yeah. Not what you were expecting at all.
No, and of course you can read more about today's events on mysuncoast.com. We have that story that we initially brought to you when we broke it. As we mentioned, the notebook is very hard to read. There's a couple run-on sentences, some spelling errors. So our Jim DeLar, our web producer, has typed out the full version of the 8-page note, and you can also find that. It's a little difficult to read if you're just reading the scanned pages, so that is also on mysuncoast.com if you want to go look at that.
All right, Melissa, thank you. We'll definitely want to